YouTube, it's Jen.
And Brad.
He's alive. Giving you an update on Brad's journey.
So, it's been a very long time since I've made a video, and a bunch of things have changed for me. I don't know how much to share, not to share, or whatever. So, sort of to put things in context, I don't know the last time I made a video, and maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, I really stopped from the perspective of, for those who don't know or just watched the first time, I had lap band in 2012, December 2012. I was very successful. I think by the end of my first year and a half, I had gotten down almost 110 pounds.
You started at?
So starting weight was 320, and I believe the best recorded weight I had was right about 210. And then I was able to maintain that for a period of time. And then somewhere around maybe 2016 or so, I think people who watch this know about Jen's different challenges she had with her band and slippage and revision and moving to sleeve. And then I was very unhappy at work, and I don't want to say neglecting my band so much as I decided not to try to pursue fills or doing anything properly with my band. And I was just really relying on food more to emotionally, because I was so unhappy at work. And then ended up finally at the end of 2018 pursuing a new job. Started a new job in March of 2019. But at the same time, I started seeing Jen's new surgeon in order to start talking about my lap band and what was going on with it and what I should do. So after a bunch of tests, it was determined that my lap band was actually causing me more harm than good. Immediately after x-rays and some kind of test where they tilt you around while you drink.
GI.
All this kind of stuff. So I immediately had it deflated.
You couldn't get it deflated, remember? He had, his esophagus was dilated from the band, and so the doctor's like, we need to deflate your band. And after stabbing you, remember, for a half hour,
they still did.
They weren't able to fully deflate you.
Right, but
so they were able to get him, based on that, within 2 weeks he was approved for lap band removal. And our surgeon does it in 2 separate steps. And I'm sorry, I'll let you go from there.
No.
So what were your weight at removal?
So at June 28th, I had my lap band removed. And that number, I don't remember that number. Point to it.
270.8.
I was 270.8 at the time I had the lap band removed on June 28th of this year. So, but before I had it removed, I had also been talking with him for a few months about what possible revision options there were. Because I was very successful when I had a good tool. And I thought one of the biggest detractors to that was I was very unhappy with work and what was going on. So having resolved that part, and having actually been in therapy for about 2 years to help me with other issues related to my life and how I handle emotions and my feelings and a lot of stuff, just making me better and healthier from a mental perspective, helped me from a physical perspective, but all the willpower in the world wasn't going to do it for me, because I've known that, and that's why originally I went with lap band, was I needed a tool. But at the time, I thought, oh, well, I don't want to do anything so invasive that I can't undo it, which is kind of silly, because I didn't want to think, because a person who's going for bariatric surgery doesn't think, oh, well, I want to do really well and then undo it later. So it was kind of silly, but it was the decision I made at the time. It made perfect sense to me, and I think it made perfect sense to Jen, because we both did lap band at the time. And this was also 2012, where band was gaining in popularity, but more in Europe.
It was ending.
I'm
2012.
Sorry, not
we
band,
were
sleeve.
we were at the end of people believing in band, and about sometime in 2013, they started to figure out that this band was not good for you. So that's where we were.
So, but having seen Jen go through some of the challenges she's had with revising to sleeve, and in talking with the surgeon, he's like, I would never recommend for you going to sleeve, because you've already been through a bariatric procedure. Your body kind of learns from that, and it understands what's going on. It's like the gold standard has always been bypass. So he's like, my recommendation to you would be bypass. I see that as being the potential to having the most success long-term for you. So I thought about it and talked about it with Jen and decided that's what I wanted to do. And we applied from a insurance perspective to get everything approved. And then, so as I said, band removed in June 28th. Weight was 270.8.
Hold on, though. When he went and he found out that his esophagus was dilated, he had the surgeon asked to do both band removal and bypass in the same surgery. He knew he wasn't going to do it in the same surgery, but he requested it that way, and the insurance immediately improved it within 2 weeks. And he did that so that you want to have the approval for both up front, and then he just says, oh, I couldn't have done both in the one surgery, and then the insurance can't really go, oh, now for a second surgery it's no longer medically necessary. If it was medically necessary before, it's still medically necessary. So that's how you do it, to make sure that you don't have different, so you don't have to do the 6-month diet in between.
So if anyone wants to know how to work the insurance part of it, do hashtag Jen knows all at the end of this or something. So after I had the band removed, I got my new surgery date, which was going to be September 23rd of this year. So for those of you paying attention, that was in the past now. So that did happen. So leading up to it, June 28th, I had the lap band taken out. I was 270.8. I had a 2-week, so after all the counseling sessions and the different tests and everything I do for clearances and cardiac tests and ensure there was no sleep apnea and all these kinds of things to get approved, 2 weeks before my pre-op date, I started a pre-op diet.
For the bypass. He didn't have to do pre-op diet for removal, but for the bypass he did.
Mm-hmm. And so the starting weight of the pre-op diet was 280.8. So I'd gone up 10 pounds in the 2.5 months from the time the band was taken out to the time I was starting my pre-op diet. So pre-op diet, starting weight 280.8. 2 weeks later, at the day of surgery, I was 271. So I'd gone down 10.8 pounds on the pre-op diet, which I think is the standard pre-op diet most people have. Shake in the morning, shake in the afternoon, and 4 ounces of lean protein and a cup or two of green vegetable with it. So I was taking it very seriously, so I tried to stay on it, even though during that period of time, I was going to have to travel to see family. So I decided up to that point, I didn't want to tell anyone what I was having done. The only person who knew was Jen, and I didn't want to share it with anyone. And primarily it was for personal reasons, and that for me internally, I was feeling, I was nervous, I was scared, but I was also, for lack of a better term, I felt a little ashamed, because it's like, oh, people are going to judge me. They're like, oh, here's this guy who had this lap band thing in 2012 and he couldn't keep the weight off. Why is he going to try again? He can't keep the weight off again. And I literally had doctors say to me as part of the pre-op testing, well, if you try just eating less, or if you try just pushing away from the plate, I'm like, God, why have I not met you earlier? I would have been skinny my entire life. So it's just having to explain to medical professionals along this way what it means to be addicted to food, the challenges of being obese my entire life, all these kinds of things that I didn't want to have to hear it again from my family, who had already seen me be successful, but then whether it was just through courtesy or whatnot, hadn't really said anything, as I had gained 60 pounds over the past 3+ years. But I decided, since I was going to be seeing them shortly, I kind of needed to say something. So I decided, rather than coming up with an elaborate lie about, oh, well, I'm having something done to the lap band, or as part of my surgery, I was actually having my gallbladder removed. I'm having gallbladder surgery. I was just going to tell them. So I talked about it in therapy before I spoke to them, and shared that with them, that it was a personal journey, but I wanted them to know. And my sisters that I told were very supportive of it. They did great. They want to be a part of my support team. They want me to keep them in the loop and everything. So that was wonderful. So getting to the day of surgery, went in. So on surgery day, which was Monday, September 23rd, a week ago yesterday, 271, had the surgery. I was already told ahead of time I was going to be in the hospital that Monday evening and that Tuesday evening, and that if all went well, I'd be released Wednesday morning. It did not go great. It was
we have to be under 15 minutes, just
no problem. So it was a bit of a shit show. So when I say that, comparing it to what lap band surgery was, and then the most recent surgery, lap band removal.
Yeah, lap band removal, you were done with payments by day 3. Like, you had nothing.
So for the surgery, they went in. when I had the lap band removed, he did it as minimally invasive as possible. Take the band out and that's it. Didn't want to mess with scar tissue, anything else. But he knew through other testing that there was the potential a couple months later there'd be scar tissue, need to clean that up. There was obviously having the gastric bypass itself. There was having the gallbladder removed. And then while in there, he found a rather large hiatal hernia, which he repaired as well. All of those things in total led to me also having to have a drain put in post-surgery. So that Monday evening, I don't even really remember. It was just more a blur of IV pain medication and me moaning and screaming.
He went for surgery at 11:45 a.m. I didn't get to him until 7 p.m. Because they could not control his pain after surgery. So the surgery was done about 11:45 to 4:45. And then after that, it took him 2 hours to get the pain under control. And that night, it was just all he kept doing was crying out that his stomach hurt.
So it was miserable.
So those people that say, oh, it's an easy recovery, it may be for some people, but you need to be prepared because he thought he was going to be going back to work yesterday. And
I thought I'd be out for a week. I'd be good, no problems. No. So Monday, I really don't remember. Tuesday, straight up misery. It was just a combination of me trying to just take some sips of water and just as much pain medication as they were willing to give me, I would take it, and just sleeping. Wednesday started to feel mildly better insofar as my pain was more under control. I would be on every 4 to 6 hours would be liquid Tylenol. It was, what was that other thing?
Oxycodone, Toradol, and
gabapentin. So I mean, there was no such thing as trying to be brave. I was fucking hurting. So I took the medicine. They were willing to give it to me. But on Wednesday, I would get myself out of the bed and I would move to a recliner, which was much more comfortable for me because I couldn't really move myself in the bed. So, and then PT started. They're like, you got to get walking. So I would start taking walks. My first walk on Tuesday.
No. Let's say that on Tuesday when he did his first walk.
I'm going to rely on you to stop this and start a next one or something. Because I don't think we're going to wrap up per se.
Well, okay.
But if we're going to, then you got to stop talking. I got to keep talking.
Go.
So PT in the hospital was miserable. The first time out, I got about 6 feet out the door before I became flush and then passed out. And they had to like grab me and put me in a chair.
Me and a nurse were holding him up screaming.
Didn't work out well first go around. I don't know if the second time was that day, but it was a little more successful. Wednesday, much more so because I knew it was a contingent on me being released was that I could walk. I had to be able to walk. So Jen brought me some protein shakes from home instead of having to drink the ones at the hospital. We checked ahead of time, like, oh, we serve Premier Protein. Turns out they serve the shittiest flavors in the universe. So thankfully, Jen had brought me some protein shakes from home, and she'd stopped off and got me some clear broth so I can have some broth. Just this way I didn't have to rely on what the hospital was having to try to help build me up. So Wednesday was much better. I was a little defeated on Wednesday because when the doctors came around, they looked and like, we're not happy with your drain output. The color, the quantity, those kinds of things. So we're going to let you stay another night. So I had to stay Wednesday. Wednesday evening was very bad. About 1:30 in the morning, I started crying. I just wanted to go home. I hated it there. But come Thursday morning, even that Wednesday, I was starting to do better where I was refusing Oxy, just taking it at night to go to fall asleep. Thursday morning, took my regular pain meds in the morning, moved to the chair, did some more walking, walked twice in the morning. Jen came by. And then one of the fellows came by and looked and they said, got the thumbs up. We're going to take out the drain. You can go home today. So went home Thursday. I'll make another video later on to update you. But basically, 1 week post-op. So Thursday came home, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. My first weigh in, I was 260.8. So from Monday to Monday, was down 10.2. Doing much better at home. I still haven't gone back to work. I decided on that Sunday evening it was not in anyone's best interest. So I'm going to be out through Wednesday this week. Work remotely Thursday and Friday. Just as an FYI also, my stomach looks like a jack-o'-lantern that exploded and molded up for 6 months and then someone stushed back together. It looks disgusting. Might make a picture or two of that one as well. But that's a lot in a little bit of time. So once again, I'm Brad.
Jen.
And this is the beginning of my journey on RY bypass. So RYGP, Roux-en-Y gastric bypass. So thank you all very much.
Bye, YouTube.
Bye.